Welcome back to Superior Fandom. Thanks for tuning in. We are live again from downtown Los Angeles. It's a Nate and Joe show. Thanks for tuning in. We're having a great time. We have a great show planned for you tonight. I'm Nate Joyner. This is my partner, Joey Holt.
Yo.
We have a fantastic show. We're gonna get right into some college sports. A lot has happened in college sports in the last couple days as far as college basketball and college football. Joe and I, being fans of both, Marcus Smart, first and foremost, is close to Joe's heart because that's one of his. Well, I think it's his favorite basketball player that in college right now that he has. In fact, Joe picked him earlier in the year to be his number one guy, and I can't disagree with him. He's great. But Joe, what happened earlier a couple days ago?
Marcus Smart,
or yesterday rather.
Marcus Smart let his emotions get the best of him.
He did.
And as anybody with a screen in front of him has found out over the last few days, he shoved a fan from Texas Tech.
Which, no matter what happens in
should
sports,
never happen.
No matter what happens in sports, fans are, no matter what they say, as an athlete at the collegiate, athlete at any level, if you can't let your emotions get the better of you with the fans. You have to block the fans out.
Be a man.
Well, and it goes to kind of what we've been saying all year, Nate, that some of these guys, all of these guys are said to be top flight NBA first round draft picks, could probably use another year in college. And it's not just to become a better player and more dominant on the floor, but it's also to deal with what it is to be a top flight athlete. And good or bad, Marcus Smart is a top flight athlete, and he is.
He's a phenomenal basketball player. Everybody that knows him said this is completely out of his character. So,
well, I don't know if it's necessarily out of his character, because
there've been a lot of people who have said that it is.
They've said that he was an intense competitor, and when you catch a guy on the court, and this Texas Tech fan, this guy Jeff Orr, he's actually said to be the Texas Tech #1 fan, of Texas Tech basketball. And in fact, I believe it was last year, it might have been the year before, there was another incident with him and a player from Texas A&M where he's gotten vocal directly to players.
It's not the first time this has happened. You're right.
And through a tweet that I think I saw by Doug Gottlieb earlier last night after it happened, or Saturday night after it happened rather, the Jeff Orr actually said that he let his mouth get the best of him and said something that he shouldn't have said. That wasn't the N-word. I don't know what he said, but
there's a rumor going around, and I don't know how true it is, but he's swearing he said nothing racial, but there's a rumor going around that he told Marcus Smart to go back to Africa. And if that's the case, Marcus Smart should have grabbed him by the throat and put his head into the it's the first thing he said in his apology to whoever, to everybody. First of all, his season ticket rights should be taken away. Like he should be banned from Texas Tech Arena. First and foremost, if you're going to sit there and heckle 19, 20-year-old kids, you especially if there's even an inkling that it might be racial, you should not be allowed back in that arena. It should be done.
It's like France.
Yeah, it's like France. Thank you. Well, France is there. They just roll over. They're like, no, not us, please. But no, it's the guy. The guy shouldn't be allowed back. He's like, it's not. It was. I didn't say anything racial. He's like, I'm sorry. I told him I regret calling him a piece of crap. I'm sorry. I find it hard to believe. If you watch the video, you see Marcus Smart hit the court. You see in his face, he realizes he made the foul. He's about to get up and go deal with the loss. All of a sudden, something grabs him like something just backhands him across the back, and he just turns around and goes for the fan. I'm sorry. Like this guy, if I was there and I was like, hey, you're a piece of crap, Marcus Smart, that would not. I don't think that would be enough to get to for him to come like want to fight me. You know, it's I really believe that there was something racial said.
You know, I don't think we're ever gonna really know what was said, and I don't know if I care.
I don't care either. I don't care either. My point is the speculation of it. The fact that this dude it's not the first time this guy's been involved with something that has been this controversial. He shouldn't be allowed back in the arena. If he has this effect on basketball players that obviously he's very good at doing.
Yeah, and if it was anything racial, like, how are you gonna be a basketball fan and like say anything racial?
Yeah, no, 100%.
Like you like that, like go. You can't really do that.
Yeah.
Like it's just like that. And for two, like one of the most respected guys in college basketball, Tom Izzo, the head coach of the Michigan State Spartans, who are, you know, probably one of the top however many basketball programs that there are, period.
I agree with you.
Forget this year, but period.
Period. He's one of the best coaches in college.
Tom Izzo actually blames social media for the Marcus Smart outburst. And, like, I mean, I don't know if you can really do that. Like, people make bad decisions, and that is what it is. But when these kids are, you know, 18, 19, 20, some odd years old, you got to, as a university, as much as your obligation is to make sure that they're educated and this, that, and the other, and whatever your legal obligation might be as it pertains to your scholarship and academic eligibility and things of that nature, I think even if it's not written, there's got to be some sort of underlying responsibility,
of course,
to prepare people, student athletes, for this. And I just can't help but think Marcus Smart is kind of and many other athletes for that matter, and we can get into the things that happened at Missouri as well. But I think these guys are just often a product of a failed system. And it's just, I don't know, it bums me out that an 18, 19, 20-year-old kid can make a bad decision in the heat of the moment and literally have, millions of dollars at risk when there's no real preparation.
But that's my point,
by
Joe.
these multi-billion-dollar institutions.
That's
in
my
a multi-billion-dollar industry, and there's really no effort to like sincerely, prepare these guys for what they're going to go through and the scrutiny of that.
This guy should not. Well, I agree with you. And but you saw his reaction during that whole exchange.
Are you talking about the fan?
I'm talking about, both of them. I'm talking about Marcus Smart is what I'm talking about. The fan should be banned from the arena. I know what you're saying as far as the there should be a lesson to be taught to these student athletes. There should be.
But I mean, that's the thing. Obviously the student athletes are the ones that need to learn the lesson, and I understand that, and I agree with that.
Tell everyone.
But I think this is more a lesson to the institutions in terms of how to prepare student athletes to deal with this. Because if they're really all about preparing the student athletes for professionalism in their life, like, this is only the first of many situations that Marcus Smart and athletes like Marcus Smart are going to get into. And if they can't handle this, like, to me, college is the place where they're not supposed to be able to handle this. It's what they do after this that matters, and I'm real curious to see what happens.
Tell our listeners, you and I talked about it earlier today, what your plan is, and I like it. I think it's great. I just think it's kind of it's just really far-fetched, but I think it's an incredible plan. I want you to go and please tell everyone is listening what you think, the situation you think would be, the class they should take.
I mean, to put it to you like this.
It's phenomenal, actually.
I think top flight college athletes, and I'm not talking, unfortunately, in this particular situation, I'm not talking about, the women's badminton team. So, like, Title IX, like, you could get pissed off at me all you want, but I think...
This pertains to NFL and NBA, period.
I think top flight college football and top flight college basketball players should be subject to a course in college as part of their scholarship, as part of their full ride, education, to learn how to learn how to deal with media, to manage their money, to maybe sometimes that also includes dealing with a fan that says something inappropriately, or even possibly a groupie. Like, how do you deal with that? How do you make sure you don't have 27 kids?
Because Lord knows 85% of college football and basketball athletes can barely spell their fucking name. And none of them really care about the school or the education that they're I'm about to throw quotation. Yeah, I'm about to throw a mic through a wall and quotation signs up. The education they're going to receive as far like the academics, like they don't care academically what they're being forced to be there. They're there for a reason.
Honestly, like
they don't care, Joe.
No, and I agree with you, but honestly, like they shouldn't. Like what the fuck? Like what does? I mean, take Marcus Smart out of it. Like pick any top flight college football player.
Yeah.
That's gonna go for a year or 2 or 3. What the fuck do they care about political science 101?
They don't.
And
it's a facade. It's a complete facade. You and I agree on that.
And for that matter, like, what is political science gonna do? 101 gonna do for them? It's not gonna do fucking anything.
Yeah.
So why don't you put a curriculum together to teach them how to manage their money so they're not broke in 3 years, to teach you how to make proper decisions in the media, to teach you how to deal with disgruntled fans or groupies or whatever the fuck. So when a situation gets thrown at you, you can make the proper decision and possibly not only not harm yourself and not make yourself broke, but maybe you can be a fucking role model for once.
It sounds like you're proposing the major of professional athlete, or maybe the minor.
Well, that's
I
Jarrett
like
Young, everybody. That's one of our producers.
No, and
one of our crack team
be...
producing, Jarrett Young and Mr. Mike Gong.
They're wonderful.
I think that's an excellent idea.
No, and like what I think is really cool about this, and why I think it actually has traction, is there's people that are prominent members of the media.
Sorry, I have to open a beer.
Influencers in the community, like Jalen Rose, that are doing things like developing the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy for high school students, and
that's incredible. And I love that.
I would really be interested to see if one or a group of these influencers, whether it's Tom Izzo and Magic Johnson and the crew at Michigan State, or a combination of some influencers within the multi-billion-dollar industry that is the NCAA, if they would really be interested in putting together a curriculum like this.
That's.
I was going to say, I don't know if you need to necessarily tailor a major towards it, but just acclimating a couple classes into the curriculum so that you do prepare them for it, so they can be just an adult, a regular professional adult going into the workforce. Here's
my argument with everything that is, and I'm not, like, I agree with everything that's going on. Like, I think that'd be the smartest class ever for any college athlete.
I think it's necessary.
I agree with you. My point is this: the majority of college athletes, football and basketball, we can all agree they're the two major college collegiate sports. Exactly.
What we're talking about right now is basketball.
In football. It's the two major collegiate sports.
The players that are going to come under the sports that are going to come under scrutiny in the media.
Yes.
Yeah, and also top flight athletes.
Yes. Yeah. But my college and football athletes that in their heads, half of the ones that come through that can barely spell their own names. They come through. They don't care first and foremost about the academics that they're supposed to be taught. That if you're going to throw them this course, they'll be like, whatever. They'll go and they'll sit through it and they'll tune out. They don't give a shit because to them in their head they're already in the NBA. They're already in the NFL. They're already there. They don't give a fuck.
And perhaps they don't care because these courses do not particularly pertain to where they're headed.
100%. 100%. I agree with that. Yeah. It's
if the NCAA is going to take, if the NCAA is going to become essentially, whether they admit it or not, the minor leagues to either the NBA or the NFL, they need to do something to prepare these student athletes to become the role models that they're going to be once they graduate college, whether they want them to be role models or not. And one of these guys that has done his part to be a role model to many people that are even outside of the scope of what I know on the daily basis is the guy at Missouri. And I think the Michael Sam, the way that the University of Missouri showed the support to Michael Sam,
it's incredible.
was just absolutely,
and his teammates
just absolutely wonderful. And I just hope that the rest of the NCAA or even at this point universities on an individualized basis could put something in place to make it easier for these student athletes to transition into being a professional athlete, because as much as we'd like to say their education process and what they deal with is the same as every other college student, like that's just bullshit and a lie.
Well, let's get into this Michael Sam. The Michael Sam case right now is I mean, hell, it's groundbreaking. I mean, this is huge. I mean, let's face it. It's the first time, regardless of what jackasses on social media have said, these homophobic dudes that are like, why is he throwing this in our face? What do you mean? What the fuck are you talking about? Coming out in sports, he's got bigger balls than anybody on the planet. Fearless. It's incredible. And it's never been done. No one's ever there. If you can sit here as a sports fan, any sport that you like, young, old, if you're a 90-year-old man and you can look me in the eye and say, I'm a huge sports fan. I've been a huge sports fan my whole life. There's never been a gay man in sports or a gay woman in sports. I will laugh in that 90-year-old man's face. You can't do it. They've been hiding in professional sports and college sports for ages. And Michael Sam has, it's groundbreaking. This is huge.
Well, and here's the thing, too. Many sports fans, myself included, especially the diehards that listen to this show, demand or at least prefer all access to their athletes and their sporting events and their coverage and things of that nature. And now with things like Marcus Smart and Sam and the like, even though completely different, you're getting the all access. And even Richard Sherman to a point, completely different situation. But you're getting the all access. And as a fan, you can't really bitch about, if you're getting all access, you can't really bitch about what comes out of that. Because, you're getting it. Right. So, therefore, you're not going to like everything. Because you're by the nature of it, you're fucking getting all of it. And therefore, with that being said, you kind of got to you kind of got to take it, and therefore it belongs to the universities and the minor league organizations to prepare these student athletes and these young men and women who are going to be professional athletes to deal with that and be able to communicate effectively. And I dig what Sam has done, what Jason Collins has done to just put themselves out there and be the trailblazer. Like that's wonderful.
Let me say the Jason Collins thing. Like and what he did was incredible as well. But then I've had people tell me like, yeah, well, he's not in the NBA anymore. He's not in the NBA anymore because he's never really that good. The dude's big, and he came out, which is huge.
He's old and unproductive.
Exactly.
He also got hurt a lot.
He got hurt a lot. Exactly. He got hurt a lot. My point is this: he's not in the NBA anymore because he came out as being gay. He's not in the NBA anymore because he's not really productive.
Jason Collins, regardless of gay, straight, black, pink, purple, blue, whatever the fuck, Jason Collins went to Stanford. He's probably one of the most intelligent NBA players that there was. So to have somebody with that kind of communication base that really had that almost innately and took it upon himself and his family to develop that communication base and be the trailblazer for it, I don't think you could have handpicked a better guy.
I completely agree with you.
To be completely straightforward
100% would agree with you, which is hard for me to do. But I can't stand agreeing with this guy.
We need a bell.
Mike, do you have a drop for that?
We can plug one in.
Bing.
but which leads me to this, and I know that this kind of isn't gonna work. But what do you think about those Northwestern football players making that labor union?
It's a joke. It's a joke. I love their gumption. I love what they're trying to do. I love the idea of it. But it's funny. It's coming out of Northwestern, which is, one of the richest schools on the planet.
Exactly.
And these kids are all they all have more money than God, but first and foremost, as long as kids are signing letters of intent, there's a union in college is never going to work. Period. As long as scholarships are handed out and letters of intent are signed. Actually, letter of intent, scholarship or no, negates everything. Because there's guidelines. You read your guidelines. You sign your letter of intent. Once you sign that letter of intent, that's contractual. That's it. Boom. You're done. It's it. That's it. You abide by the guidelines of the NCAA, and that's
You have unions fucking.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of it's.
Well, you'd have
I respect their gumption,
you'd
but
you'd have recruiting 6th graders because oh shit, we got to get you contractually before you get this.
I agree with what you're saying too, because I like the energy. I like where they're coming from.
I love it. I agree with you.
I think it's a slap in the face to any standard student who's trying to enroll in college. Because you look at these silver spoon-fed kids that are asking for more.
It's Northwestern.
When there are certain kids out there that just want to have the opportunity to go to college and would love to have that opportunity just to go to Northwestern and have that type of education, to have that on the resume, as that's where they graduated with their bachelor's from. And you feel entitled that you need to have something more. And I get the fact that the coaches, the system puts these kids through the ringer, but you know what you're getting into. The path that they're getting led down is to make them a professional, athlete, and the payoff for that is so much higher. And you can't forget the price of an education. I think that's huge. I think a lot of people forget about that.
See, I agree with what you said in terms of they know the path that they're getting down, and they're not owed anything. And I'm right there with you, where.
It's all about the letter of intent.
Where I think
that's literally.
It's true.
And legally, this shit's gonna get thrown out of court and probably
100%.
probably not have something to stand
It has
on.
no legs at all.
But I dig the initiative, and here's the thing that isn't really being discussed, or at least that we haven't touched on, is that when somebody signs a letter of intent, there's a back end of that contract that the university or the educational institution has to uphold in terms of providing them an education. And with with a large number of professional athletes being broke in 3 to 5 years, and the countless number of NFL players that are getting arrested, and the guys, 7 more guys from Tennessee got arrested for like alcohol violations and the like. Like, don't you like? Although this isn't the answer, and I get it, and I think this is just a first step that needs to be modified. Like, don't you have to hold these institutions to like a standard of really educating these people? And if 70-80%, whatever the number is,
But Joe, they have to want to be educated as
no,
well.
but that's
Joe.
the thing. Like, I think
They have to want to be educated. How do you educate somebody who doesn't give a fuck if they're educated or not?
That's the shit of it. Is I don't think the reason I think that attitude is prevalent within the athletic community is because they're not being educated on shit that's going to help them. They're
Right,
not
it's
being
not relevant.
They're not being educated on shit that's going to protect them money. They're not being told where to invest money. They're not being told how to deal with fans.
But they
or
think
deal with
they
this.
already know, Joe. They've got their boys. They think they've already made it.
And you're correct. But I think
They've got their entourage of whoever.
I think that the reason that's prevalent is because there hasn't been a class where Magic Johnson sat down with them, where Coach K sat down with them, where Michael Jordan sat down with them, where, where Agent X sat down with them and said, look, motherfucker, you're wrong, and this is what you need to do. You know what I mean?
If ever we can get to the point where that group
hold
that
on
you
real quick, and what's shitty before we get out of here, and what's shitty about that is I think that the reason that doesn't exist is because the NCAA wants to not empower these athletes to make the proper decisions to be able to make real change and real reform within their system. And I think that that's the bullshit of the whole situation.
Ooh, getting conspiratorial on that.
All right, everybody. Well, right now we're gonna take a break. On that note, Joe he's all fired up right now.
Pissed.
He's all fired up.
Standing over here.
We're live. We're gonna take a short break. What?
We're gonna. I'm thinking maybe even 30 minutes. I don't know.
Quick smoke break. 5 minutes.
That or
I say 5 minutes.
okay.
I need a shot.
Yeah,
Or we-
we're gonna have
or
a
we-
shot of Cena tequila and a PBR
or
maybe.
we just go back on at midnight. I don't know. What do you guys want
What
to do?
time is it now?
11:30 almost.
We could sit here and drink for half an
keep-
hour.
Do we want to keep our one listener waiting for midnight?
Yeah, let's not keep him waiting that
All
long.
right. All right.
We'll be back. We'll be back in 10 minutes. We'll give you 10 minutes. We're back. If you're listening, please tune back in. If not,
Fuck
Hey,
you.
go
We'll hear
fuck
you tomorrow.
yourselves.
we love you anyways. And those of you who tune in tomorrow or the next day or the next day or the next day, we love you too. So we are out. We'll be back in 10.
Superior fandom.
SuperiorFandom.com.
Boom.